When you think of a philosopher, you would likely think of a respectable, clean-cut, old, bearded man. But when it comes to Diogenes the Cynic, you should picture an old, homeless man instead. Here, I would like to tell the story of Diogenes so that you and I can look into the past and see just what was going on in this mad lad's head. Now, in order to understand how Diogenes became Diogenes, we need to understand where he came from. So with that, let us start with what we think we know about him. The life of Diogenes is surrounded by myth and legend. We know very little about him from what second-hand sources we do have. We believe that he was born in the Greek city of Sinope around 412 to 404 BC. His father was the master of the town's mint, the place where coins are made. With the occupation of his father, his family would have had a relatively high standard of living. That is, until it all came crashing down. At some point, there were accusations that the master of the mint had been tampering with coins. Some say that counterfeit coins were being made, or that the coins were being defaced and damaged. The account of... I believe that is ywvq. I don't know what's right here, just read it. A worker at the mint accused Diogenes himself of the coin's damage. Sadly, Diogenes and his father had to flee the city, but they were caught, convicted, and sentenced to prison. Diogenes managed to escape, but his father died in his cell. He traveled to Athens, and this is where the fun begins. He was attached to the teachings of Antisthenes. God, I need to stop doing these stupid Greek things, though he was a little too attached. Diogenes became Antisthenes' shadow, and was always in close proximity to him. With time, Antisthenes became very annoyed with Diogenes, understandably, and once lifted his staff to beat him away, but Diogenes said, "Strike, for you will find no wood hard enough to keep me away from you, so long as I think you've something to say." Or at least that's what we think he said. As said before, lots of Diogenes' life is a mystery. Diogenes is one of the founders of Cynicism, similar to Stoicism. Cynicism then does not have the same meaning as it does today. Nowadays, a cynic is someone who has a negative view of human nature. However, the ancient cynics had a negative view on the society that humans made, keeping them from their true nature. Diogenes very much disliked society. He hated the materialistic practices of those around him. So much so, in fact, that he owned nothing but some torn-up rags for clothes, a staff, and a bowl. But after seeing a child drink from his cupped hands, Diogenes broke his bowl and rebuked himself for being so materialistic. For his living arrangement, he stayed in an oversized wine jar located in the marketplace. He gave no thought in presenting himself. So much so that he was so dirty and unkempt that people referred to him as a dog. And with that insult, he found a compliment. He based his lifestyle on the dog, saying that we should look to the dog as a model for how we should live our natural lives. Dogs will eat whatever is given to them, they sleep wherever they want, perform natural bodily functions in public without a care in the world, and they do not worry about tomorrow. With people calling Diogenes a dog, some people did not know why and asked him. He said, "I fawn on those who give me anything, I yelp at those who refuse, and set my teeth in rascals." With Diogenes' lifestyle being what it is, he likely did not write anything himself, though people did write about him. Plato, you know him, you love him, and Diogenes loved to mess with him, and other philosophers. As said in my Plato video, Diogenes came to one of Plato's lectures with a plucked chicken and said, "Behold, Plato's man." There are other stories of the two going at each other, one of them being Plato finding Diogenes cleaning lettuces. Had you paid court to Dionysus, you wouldn't now be washing lettuces. Diogenes replied, "If you had washed lettuces, you wouldn't have paid court to Dionysus." They didn't like each other very much, if you couldn't tell. Now for one of the best-known stories when it comes to Diogenes, that of Alexander the Great. As the story goes, Alexander was a fan of Diogenes and wanted to meet him. He found Diogenes sunbathing and approached him. Alexander said that he would like to grant any wish that Diogenes desired. Diogenes answered with something along the lines of, "Yes, you can do something for me. Move over, you're in my light." Alexander was at first taken aback, but soon said if he was not Alexander, he would wish to be Diogenes. Diogenes then said if he were not Diogenes, he too would wish to be Diogenes. The balls on this man. As for one more story before I start wrapping this up, we have the lantern. Before I even started typing this script out, I found that a lot of art and statues of Diogenes had him with a lantern, and I found out why. He would wander around the streets in broad daylight holding up a lamp, claiming to be looking for good men, but can only find vile and brutish creatures. So just something interesting to end on. So the man lived to be around 90 years of age, which is crazy considering his lifestyle. We don't know for sure how Diogenes met his maker, but we have some theories. Some say that he died from rabies, or perhaps eating a raw octopus. But my, and Sam O'Nilla's favorite theory, is that he just got tired of living and held his breath till he croaked. We miss you, Sam. Please come back to us. Well, now it's time for my critique. When it comes to Diogenes' philosophy itself, I have some problems. He liked to focus on the here and now, but it is a lot easier to do when you are a beggar, not needing to budget or plant fields. While I do respect how down-to-earth he is, not having any complex metaphysical theories, he was not self-sufficient as he claimed. Sure, he did not let people get to him, and he did provide his own happiness, but everything had to be given to him, mainly food. He had to rely on others for daily sustenance. And finally, his behavior was flat-out atrocious. The man would like to urinate and defecate everywhere, and openly choked the chicken. Basically, he was living as though he was in San Francisco. I can respect a lot, and I get that he was just trying not to conform to greater society, but he went way too far with it. But that's just my opinion. Now, take care.